Hey, thanks for coming in to We Called It. Big show halfway through the season. We're going to be updating our, Super Bowl picks, AFC, NFC Championship favorites. Going to be a lot of fun. I'm still liking the Vikings, but my AFC pick is going to change. So stick around. You'll see who I like now. Uh, you'll see that Kenneth Call is not here. He will not be here for a little bit. Congratulations. He just had a child. So much more bigger priority. And
Busy doing adult things rather than betting on human beings to score more points in fantasy football or betting on human beings to win by more points. So
also, we thought realistically, we don't care, about importance of time. He would just be dragging us down, being half asleep right now because he's waking up. He's doing the night feedings, letting his wife get the good sleep as a good husband would. All right, but
however, we are going to update everybody though on our overall percentages this year in two different views here, two different vacuums. The whole year. Then we're going to talk about streakiness of all three of us. Actually, 2 out of 3 of us. The other one is just right down the middle.
Yeah. All right. So before we do that, the man who is here doesn't miss a show, Connor Lucas. How are you, Connor?
Hey, Phil. To be fair, I think we all missed a show last week.
No, because it wasn't recorded, so no one missed.
Yeah, well, anyways, I'm good, Phil. Had an interesting week last week with our picks, even though we weren't there. But 2 weeks ago, we could talk about that.
I think what is recorded and available for you to listen to on YouTube. Nailed it.
Which we actually crushed 2 weeks ago, and then last week. This is what we're talking about with streaks here. Last week was for me was 1-3 with 2 pushes here, so could have been a 500 week, but instead turned into a really bad week. Yep. But that's how gambling is. By the way, if you don't know that by now, you probably haven't gambled ever. So,
and if you don't know that and you have gambled, I'm sorry, you probably lost your shirt. All right,
you probably lost a lot more money.
All right, quick updates on our year-long rankings. So I have been awesome. 58.5% on the year, 31 out of 53. So killing it. I'm sorry about my articles. I think I'm right under 500 on those. So you got to remember, I don't pick those. All right, those are thrown upon me, and I just have to make a selection. All right, Connor,
hold on. So you tell your boss this at Action Network and say, hey, by the way, if you would listen to every other one, you're winning 58%, which I'm sure the people at the Action Network would love to hear. Because then they would say, all right, Phil, you pick your games this week, and you tell us what to write.
So the problem is, they allow people to do that. They're like, hey, send me a text, send me an email with the game you want to write. I don't check the lines. I say, give me whatever, I can do this. And I really regret that this year. Last 2 years it's worked out. I was over like 52, 53% making money. Not working this year. Anyways, Connor, you're 51%. Right over 500 at 25 for 49.
However, last week would have made me like 53%, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everyone who's a gambler ever could say that.
It's streaky. And lastly, Ken Cole, we made fun of him on the show several times. I can't remember what he was previously. I think it was floating around 38%, but in the last 2 weeks, he has skyrocketed up to 49%. He's hit 13 of his last 19. He will have picks. You won't get to hear why he's taking them. So let's start off with the big
68%. 68%, a 2 week average. If you stuck with Ken.
All right, let's start off with the big thing, Super Bowl. We're gonna look at the AFC. I have the odds screen pulled up on DraftKings. Connor, you can't see it because you can't see my screen, but I'm sure you know the teams. Anyways, looking around, we have the Bills as the favorite, Chiefs as a close second, and then Ravens, Dolphins, Bengals, Chargers really round out the teams that are kind of neck and neck and in contention is what it looks like. So, Connor, you started off with the Bills at the beginning of the year. Are you holding on to Bills as the AFC favorite?
I'm holding on to Bills. As long as Mr. UCL, Josh Allen, decides that he doesn't need surgery, doesn't need Tommy John surgery, I'm with him. They're a juggernaut. I don't see enough from Kansas City yet. I will say this though, a sneaky team that I would say my dark horse for the AFC Chargers. They're 5-3 and their offense has sucked, and they don't have two of their top weapons. I'm telling you, if they figure it out, they could be very sneakily in there. I mean, betting. I know this is a betting show. I wouldn't bet them, but I wouldn't be surprised.
You get plus 1,600 odds. It's a 16-1 that they make the Super Bowl. Like that could be a nice payout.
It could be a nice payout. I wouldn't count on it, but if you said, "Hey, we're talking about this in 10 weeks," and you're going, "Yeah, LA's for real. They're making it to the Super Bowl," it wouldn't surprise me. Still don't think there's anybody in here. I'm not in on the Ravens. I'm not in on Titans. Nobody else in here. Unfortunately, I'm not even in on the Bengals. So I still think it's just a two-man game. And maybe the Dolphins. Maybe.
So I was gonna say Dolphins are my sleeper pick. I'm not actually taking them. If you've listened, you know me. I love me some Patrick Mahomes, and I'm gonna be riding with the Chiefs. But Dolphins, phenomenal underdog pick. I think they have looked way better than expected. If they ever get Byron Jones back, they'll actually have good corners on the outside, and they have a good pass rush. Like they have a good mix of everything. I just don't know if I can buy Tua to win in Buffalo.
Oh, here we go. Give it to me. All right, let's just get this out of the way right now. Let's just get it out of my way. There are two people, and I would say before now there are two sides of the road. You're either all in on Tua or you're not in on him at all. Where do you fall?
Why is it gotta be he's the next MVP, Tom Brady, or it's gotta be like he's the next Tim Tebow, he's out of the league in a year?
Let's clarify this then. Let's clarify. Does Tua take them to the playoffs this year?
All right, so one, Tua, they are a playoff team. I think they are the third best team in the AFC. Two, if they keep Tua, they will not win an AFC championship for as long as he's their quarterback.
Pause. They are keeping Tua. They lost their first round pick because of the Tom crap, and they've just gotten rid of all three of them. All of them. They got Waddle, Chubb, and Hill. So he's the guy.
Dude,
He's it.
I'm just saying, Tua cannot beat Buffalo or Kansas City in Buffalo or Kansas City. We talk about how he has a noodle arm.
He beat him.
No. Just can you? I'm not done.
All right. Well, he beat him.
When it gets cold and windy in the coldest and hardest of windiest places to play, Buffalo and Kansas City, Tua can't play. Like we watch him. Sure, Tyreek Hill has 1,100 yards on the year. He should have 13 to 1,400 because of how many passes have been thrown short, and he hasn't busted them into touchdowns. All right.
Now we've been over this though. We've been over this.
Yeah, no. But now you throw in a 10 mile per hour, or 20 mile per hour gust that throws that ball, and Tyreek Hill ain't making that play anymore. No. I'm out on Tua being that guy, making that happen in the playoffs. He's going to be a winner, dude. He's going to be 10 to 12 wins every year because he gets 12 games in Miami, or he gets 8 games in Miami, 10 to 12 good weather games throughout every season. It's going to be great. It's going to look good. And then give me December, give me January, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, even Lamar, Joe Burrow. They got arms. They can do it. I am just not buying that Miami can do that. However, they are still my third favorite team in the AFC, sleeper underdog. If I am wrong, that's hedging my bets.
I will say this. We have had this debate among my friend group for a long time. I do not believe that Tua is an MVP quarterback. I'll stand by that.
Oh, you don't believe he's one of the best players in the league? That's he's not in the skill level, like the raw talent.
There's a difference though between being a talented quarterback, and being a top 3 or 5 producing quarterback. There are so many other things that this is don't wreck the Lamborghini, okay? And I know that we say that, but there is an art to not being able to wreck the Lamborghini. And not only not wreck the Lamborghini, drive it and drive it fast. If you have a 75-yard touchdown with 10 yards of downfield of ADOT and 65 yards of yak, tell me, how many yards does Tua get on his stat sheet? Okay, he gets 75. There is the Shanahan school of whatever has more predetermined first reads, predetermined first reads than anybody else in the NFL. Meaning, they're scheming a play to get it to one or two people. That's it. RPOs, delayed handoffs.
Not only are they scheming the play, though, it works. That first read is open.
Got it. So that is a perfect match for Tua, and a perfect match with two Ferraris on the outside, and a coach that is far and away offensively better than plenty of other people. All of that to say Tua he's not an MVP, go out and do things like Patrick Mahomes. He is an elite game manager, period. He is an elite.
He is what you want when you buy Kirk Cousins.
No. Because he hasn't been in the situation to fail yet. We will find out.
But what do you mean? Like he fought back against Baltimore.
There's a difference between being an elite QB, talent-wise, and being a franchise QB. Let's make that clear.
There's a big. First of all, there's a big gap.
I would say he's a franchise quarterback from what I've seen. If with the caveat that McDaniel stays, and they have to make in 3 years another big time move in the draft or a trade.
All right.
They got to get another Hill in 3 or 4 years.
Would you say
your window is the next 5 years?
Would you say he's Matt Ryan? He is the new Matt Ryan. Dude, you look at Matt Ryan. He had Julio Jones, Roddy White, Kyle Shanahan. You put all those three together, you get an MVP season. Now, I also think that the league has shifted, and he does not have the Mahomes, the Allen, even the Lamar Jackson tools to be an MVP player, because they just do so much more. Like, the way they take over a game is unfair. And even like when Matt Ryan won his MVP, there was Aaron Rodgers was doing stuff like that, but I think he got hurt that year. So, no. He had lost players.
If I overthrow you by 15 yards, Josh Allen, or I underthrow you by 15 yards, Tua, doesn't matter whether or not that was underthrown or overthrown. Does it still go down as an incompletion? If I throw a 75-yard touchdown the next play, does it matter? The answer is no. Josh Allen gets a pass as he throws the ball 70 yards at the flick of a wrist. But he overthrows people too. So I would be willing to say, no, I'm not saying that Josh Allen should be overlooked by Tua, an MVP race. I am saying that I think, when you say all in on Tua, I think the pairing of McDaniels and Tua has shown us enough that they can be franchised.
Do they win an AFC championship, that combination? My take is no, because it's not easy, and you have to go through.
They would win an NFC championship.
They would be my favorite in the NFC this year. So you just got to remember, like, the top 4 teams in the AFC for years to come. I'll call it 5: Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati, LA. Like best quarterbacks in the conference.
It would more depend on if they have an elite defense. If they catch up with an elite defense, yes.
But you have 4 bad weather cities that you have to beat in the playoffs. So 1 or 2 a year. That's why I'm against Tua doing that. Anyways, before we move on to the NFC, last thing I want to hear from you. Who deserves the MVP more? Tyreek Hill or Tua? Ignore all the other options. I want to know. In Miami, who's the MVP?
Mike McDaniels. Shut up. That's the MVP.
I'm surprised you're not out here siding with your what's it called? With your wide receivers.
I mean, chicken and egg. Holy cow. Take your pick.
Tyreek Hill.
Did Calvin Johnson win the MVP? Did he win the MVP?
Did Matt Stafford, though?
Did Cooper Kupp win the MVP last year?
Well, I mean, should have. No, I'm just kidding.
It's harder. It's hard not to be the MVP when you're the quarterback.
All right, I'm sorry, viewers. Apparently, it is not allowing me to see the NFC champion, the NFC conference winner stuff. Anyways, we'll just talk about it. So, Connor, conference NFC, there is essentially the Eagles, and then a whole other set of football teams that shouldn't even be considered because they would be worse than the Chargers in the AFC.
Yeah.
So, all right. I'm assuming you're taking the Eagles as the obvious choice. Can you give a second wild card or someone else you think is fun?
San Francisco.
So you're buying. All right. So hold up.
I'm buying into their defense. Not buying Jimmy G. Let's get that out of the way right now.
All right.
I would say, just get it out of the way right now. I'm not buying the Vikings. So don't even go there with Kirk Cousins. Just forget about it. It's great. Took off his shirt. Kirk looked a little bit ripped this weekend. Oh my goodness, he's a little skinny white boy. Okay, fine. You guys forget about that. Look, he is an athlete, and he is in the NFL. Okay,
dude,
he's going to be lean and athletic.
Like I never understand when people say that. It's like, dude, your job is literally to work out like at least 2 hours a day, give or take a couple days a week. Like,
Cowboys are frauds, Giants are frauds.
Buccaneers,
Rams. They just have a lot of problems. Their offensive line is atrocious at the Buccaneers. I've never ever actually been like, man, there's an offensive line that is going to ruin a team. I'm beginning to question that with Tampa Bay. They go up against the front of the Philadelphia Eagles and they will get blasted.
That's true.
And I'm talking like Tom sounds great right now for fantasy, even though he hasn't been great this year because they haven't been able to give him time. But he's throwing the ball 60 times a game. Chunky Lenny is in trouble. Campbell's soup over there. Because we got problems because Rachaad White, who we called, by the way, is now eating into his snap counts. And he's getting upset.
Looking better, too, than him.
He's more dynamic. He's fresher. He's 23 years old. He's got great hands. He's got great open field speed.
Well, it also changes what you have to worry about. Like, with Lenny, you know they're running between the tackles. I don't know how else to say it. It's telegraphed. Like, we talked about it, the Broncos. I just feel like that is where the Buccaneers are right now.
When they're running. Let's put it that way. Let's caveat that. When they're running, we know they're running between tackles. Lenny's and he's great, and he's been able to keep up his fantasy because like his PPR because he's catching the ball, and that's going away too. But like we also did say at the beginning of the year, Lenny will be great as a volume play. Yeah. Because Todd Bowles said, "I'm sticking with him. I don't care." Tide's turning a little bit. So I think we also said, with the caveat, go out and get Rachaad White, especially after we saw Chunky Lenny, running on the treadmill at the beginning. We said, hey, Lenny's going to get all the volume, but probably should go out and get some insurance for this guy. 27 over the hill, looks a little chunky monkey, and, you got a pretty darn good horse in the back, and I would potentially go out and get White. So By the way, also funny, Najee Harris is potentially about to get benched for an undrafted free agent. So that's news.
Dude, Najee's so bad.
He's
But anyways,
Richardson. Sorry, Cleveland. He's Trent Richardson.
no.
Yes.
He was drafted way later than Trent Richardson. Trent Richardson was the third pick in the draft or something stupid.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh
You're
my
right.
god, average 3 point, dude. I'll never forget. I saw a meme, and it was what Trent Richardson sees, and it's like 10 defenders, and then it's like what a normal running back sees, and it's like a giant hole. And then they showed like the play that the guy made this from, and it's like Trent Richardson just running straight in, and it's like the guard center blew this straight great hole. It's like a 10-yard carry, easy, 5-yard loss.
Straight ahead.
Yep.
Straight ahead. No vision.
Yeah, so I picked the Vikings to start the year, and I'm sticking with it, man. I know Kirk Cousins, as long as he does not get the 4 o'clock playoff games, he's got this. Put him at the 1 o'clock windows.
If only Tua didn't play in cold weather games.
Hey, so I made my pick. I'm sticking with it. The thing is, I don't believe in the Eagles to win a close game yet.
Wait, time out. Did
Stop.
we say though? We did say though that Minnesota won was like 7-9 last year, we said
we talked up Minnesota flipping over their close losses into close
we
wins.
did agree on Minnesota as actually being way better than their record.
I think I think we had them as like the NFC, like not the NFC North favorite. Obviously, that we had the Packers were the favorite if we had to pick one. However, we did like the odds of the Vikings as a different pick.
Yeah,
but excuse me, but the Vikings, it's more so that I'm just not picking the Eagles. Like I said, I'm not buying into Jalen Hurts in a close game, coming back and, having that fourth quarter drive to win it. I don't think we've seen that much from him. Against the Cardinals, they almost blew it. That was a missed extra point, a missed field goal away from a loss, right? And instead, the Eagles ended up, coming back and winning by that much. So I'm just not buying into the fact that they can win close games. And in the playoffs, you got to win close games. Aaron Rodgers didn't do it last year. Tom Brady is a guy we've seen do it over and over again. But that's what marks are good versus bad quarterbacks. Can you win the close ones? Can you come back from 10 down? That's why people love Patrick Mahomes. That's why people are still, questioning Josh Allen. Josh Allen is great with a 20-point lead. He'll make it a 40-point lead. However, if he's down by 10, you don't trust him to win by 3. So I am just low on the Eagles for that reason. I am not saying they can't do it. If I had to make a bet, it's obviously them. I'm not going to be stupid here and say they're not the best team in the NFC. Their roster is freaking loaded, top to bottom. I love everything about it. But I'm going to, make it fun and exciting. Say, give me the Vikings. Buccaneers is a sleeper wildcard team. Always trust Tom Brady in the playoffs. The fact that they're 4-5 and have a clutch hold, in my opinion, on their division because the Falcons suck, the Saints suck, the Panthers suck. Like, congratulations, you get
under tonight. If you're wondering, I put the under.
You get
FYI.
You get
I
8
picked
more.
the under. It's on right now. Go watch it, or don't. Nobody cares.
It's on right now as you watch this tomorrow morning. But like they have 8 games to figure their life out, and then they get like the quarterbacks in the NFC are just atrocious right now. They are so fortunate to have their path being carved out. The fact that Geno Smith, I think, is currently playing the best football of any quarterback in the NFC right now. Like that's just depressing to say. Jalen Hurts has been phenomenal, but like Geno Smith as a passer is everything. He's just been fantastic. So that makes me eat some crow on my Russell Wilson take from the beginning of the year, saying he was going to take the Broncos to the Super Bowl. So I'm sorry about that, but I don't know if I said it previously for the AFC, but I'm taking the Chiefs. They're my new team in the AFC. I said AFC West winner. Look it up. I said the AFC West winner is going to the Super Bowl. I picked the Broncos to do it preseason. I'm sorry. It is now the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, I'm sorry I betrayed you for a little bit and thought someone might beat you. Anyways, with that aside, let's get to what everyone really comes here for. The profit, the money-making section of this show. Week 10 game picks. We'll do a quick rundown and let you know whenever Ken's taking people. But for now, Connor started off with under 41.5 for the Falcons versus Panthers. I'd love to hear you talk about it, but those teams suck. No one cares. We know they suck.
Both
You don't
suck. Hurricane Nicole is right around the corner. This is not hard.
Yeah.
Both teams are going to have to run the ball, which means the game is going to flow quickly. You got to stop. You got to call a timeout or run out of bounds to stop this. That's what's going to happen. Under 41.5, even though that is a low score. By the way, I think we talked about this. The unders on Thursday Night Football since inception are something crazy, like 19-5. It's insane.
They're just straight money. All right, now let's go. We got that out the way. What is your real smash play of the week? Where's your money?
Miami. Over Cleveland.
Not my brownies.
I'm sorry.
So timeout. That's a great.
It's not that cold yet.
Just listen. In our group chat and within family circles, Ken and I were blatantly told the Browns will go 2-1 in their next 3 games. They play the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Buccaneers, and they're going 2-1 in those games.
Look,
people insisted we are going to beat the Bills next week. That was the take. We lose to the Dolphins this week and we beat the Bills next. I just want to make it abundantly clear. If you ever wonder why the Browns fans want Kevin Stefanski out of town, that is why. Because their ridiculous expectations cannot be met.
I mean, here's reality. Like, back to reality, though. We just talked about this Ferrari offense, this speedboat offense. This is a boat race on the outside. I'm truly not even sure who's left on the Cleveland defense besides Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett that's healthy. I'm pretty sure I didn't think Denzel Ward was back. Either way, they fired their defensive coordinator or their defensive backs coach or something, and their defense is in shambles. And I don't think they fired their defensive coordinator yet.
They haven't. Trust me. I would know. And we would have had a party about it. That would have been news.
So it's hard for me to go. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and even with 3.5, like, I just don't see it. And I think Miami, yes, they don't have a great defense, but they're getting there. They got a new piece. Definitely think that Chubb will help them, but as they get healthy, I think that they are a bend but don't break defense. I think they got a little bit of flack because they gave up some early points and yards in their first couple of games, and then they've sort of found their rhythm. They were started off 3-0, and then they had 3 bad losses or 3 losses that they gave up a good amount of points and yards. And I think that they've sort of turned the corner a little bit. So I just think that Cleveland can't score with them. That's it. That's the whole take. And sorry, Chubb, you're great, but I don't see it yet.
I like it. I respect it, and I think you're right. I love the Browns, obviously, but no. I'm not taking the Miami pick, but I can't argue with you. It's probably more feelings that I'm not taking that pick. Anyways, my first pick. Under 43.5, Minnesota versus Buffalo. We just got done talking about Tua's noodle arm. Can't play in Buffalo. You know who has a worse arm? Like 36, 37-year-old Case Keenum going out there in it's cold weather. It's not freezing yet, but it's 15-mile-per-hour winds. Him and Kirk Cousins aren't going to be able to throw the ball more than 20 yards down the field. This game is going to be just constant Case Keenum long drives or having to punt. And, Buffalo's defense is number 1 at pressuring quarterbacks with just the front 4. So you can double team Justin Jefferson and you can get after Kirk Cousins, who was terrible under pressure this year. This is going to be a complete boring game. I don't know who wins because Josh Allen's out. If Josh Allen were here, I might take Buffalo. Like, I think it was at -9.5. I might have taken him to just blow out Minnesota. It just seems like the game that Minnesota resets on. But of course, the Vikings at 7-1 get a, layup handed to them. Maybe you can come out and win in Buffalo. get a great win on paper, but it's less satisfactory when you look at the situation around it. However, these teams are going to want to run. They're just going to be grounded and pounding the whole time. So I'm out on this game being entertaining, unexciting. I took Kirk Cousins, threw him on my bench in fantasy, brought in Trevor Lawrence. So I don't believe there's going to be points scored.
Hence why I'm taking Minnesota plus 3.5, baby. Josh Allen out. I think it's going to be a slow roll of a game, a slow burn. Alvin Cook up the middle 100 times for 15 yards. Every once in a while, you may end up getting Jefferson to potentially break loose from one, maybe. I don't know. Not for very long, though. I do think that Cousins is going to struggle here. This is for real. This is the real time where we say, hey, Kirk, are you actually good when you play good teams? The answer's historically been no. So, let's see what you do under pressure here. And, my guess is you fail, but your saving grace is Case Keenum on the other side. That's it. Minnesota's defense is pretty good. This is an indictment against Case Keenum. That's it.
All right. I completely agree. But Ken has the under here. So just want to... He can't defend the pick. Sorry.
Shout out Ken. Baby daddy Ken.
All right. Let's go on to your next pick. Whatever you're feeling.
Yeah. I think this is going to go with the take that I had about the Chargers being 5-3. 7 is a ginormous spread. I get the fact that they don't have their weapons on the offense, but man, 7 is a lot. They're getting 7 points. Justin Herbert can throw anybody back in. This is a total backdoor cover. I think they lose this game. I think this is a total backdoor cover by Justin Herbert at the end of the game. Eckler's still Eckler. Herbert is still Herbert. Herbert's getting a bunch of flack this year already for not being as accurate and not having the crazy stat games. He's not having 50-plus points. Fine. But the reality is he's not really making a ton of dumb decisions, and he's keeping them in games. They're 5-3. This is not the fact they are not sitting here at 4-5, or they're not sitting at 3-5, something like that. They're sitting at 5-3. They're just not getting healthy, I think, on defense. They lost Joey Bosa. Khalil Mack showed up last week. Get Bosa back eventually in terms of getting them potentially being a dark horse here. I just think 7 is huge for a Herbert-led team. I mean, way too big.
So I'm with you. And the thing I loved looking at was San Fran has 4 wins this year. First of all, they are just 4-4. That's not great. But they've beaten the Rams twice, who I think everyone is currently looking at as like, ooh, they are way worse than we expected. That offense might be one of the worst offenses in the league because of how bad that O-line is. And so they beat them twice. They beat the Panthers. Now, if you don't remember that, I think like the Panthers were just a complete joke. That was when they were still figuring out life. I think that was the game Matt Rule got fired for, actually. So, yeah. Panthers were even worse than what we thought they were. And lastly, their only impressive win was week 2 against the Seahawks. But it was week 2 when we didn't know what the Seahawks were. You could tell they were running that more ground and pound style that Pete Carroll loves. And now they realized, oh, we have a good passing attack, so let's lean into that. I'm not into buying that the Seahawks were who we thought they are now in week 2. So not very high on those wins. They lost to the Falcons and Chiefs. Like that. It's not impressive.
They still were running Rashad Penny, so, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying this team is up and down. They're coming off a bye, and while I do love Kyle Shanahan, and I always emphasize how great a coach he is not like he's going to have these great plays and this great offensive scheme, but situationally, I don't think he comes out of buys like as well as he should. He doesn't coach the situations as well as he should. He's just like a very even keel. Like, yeah, I just have smart plays and they're fantastic and I'm wonderful at it. But if you want to win close games regularly, I'm not that guy. So I don't think he has that advantage coming out of a bye that Andy Reid's, Mike Vrabel's. I think Dan Campbell's a guy who gets that advantage out of the buys. They beat the Packers. Was that off the bye? I think that was. Could be
Their,
wrong.
their bye was week 6.
Never mind.
Would have been week 7.
Yeah, I think they got their butt kicked in week 7. Anyways, let's go on. Connor. Oh no, you. I was just talking about the Chargers.
Your pick there, big dog. That's your pick.
I knew that. Totally paying attention. All right, I'm gonna go with the one we all have.
No. I'm gonna tell you which one.
What?
You just trashed them. Mm-hmm. Now go ahead and tell me why you're picking the Rams.
Oh my gosh! Because for how bad the Rams are, the Cardinals are awful. I don't see what they do well besides have DeAndre Hopkins. Like, give me one facet of the game where you look and you go, that Cardinals team is good. It's like J.J. Watt, he finally got old. I'm sorry, he's not I'm the star pass rusher you need. I think it's Zach Allen. It could be something else. He's the opposite pass rusher. He's looked good, but like not great. All they have is DeAndre Hopkins in games on offense. He got quieted last week, and it ended up being Rondale Moore with 8 catches for 69 yards. It's not productive. It's not helpful. You're not going to win with it. Now the Rams, Aaron Donald and I'm trusting Jalen Ramsey to win this game. I think they play well defensively, and I just brought up how the Cardinals don't have a pass rush, and the Rams' problem is their own line. Well, in this game, the Rams will have enough time to throw. So this is out there. Allen Robinson's going to have a big game. The Rams are looking inside. They're saying we got to try something new offensively. Now, Cooper Kupp, he had one play last week, and it was like a 75-yard touchdown. Everything else he did was like underwhelming. So I'm saying they go back to the drawing board, and Van Jefferson did have 5 catches, or like 3 catches that nailed him in the chest downfield, and he dropped him. They show up better. They need to stop running the ball. That is the only thing I know.
Okay. Pause. Does John Wolford starting change this for you?
What? I didn't know.
Stafford's out. He's not going to make it out of concussion protocol.
Okay. Just let me do
The answer is yes.
Just let me do one thing and see the updated odds, okay? I get
it's not confirmed yet. He hasn't practiced 2 days, and he hasn't been able to get out of concussion protocol.
With the new rules of concussion protocol, I am doubting he gets out. I will buy John Wolford to win this game still. It's a bull.
I actually think so too. I watched Wolford. You remember Wolford like a couple years ago? He looked like he had command of that offense when Stafford
looked like He looked solid in week 17 and
total eye test.
Yeah, no, he knows the offense well enough. Yeah, the offense simple. Look at Cooper Kupp, and when he gets open, throw him the ball. Very simple, very very straightforward offense. Not giving up on them. The Rams, I think their defense is underrated currently because of how much it's been asked to do, and it has succeeded. But it's like you're underwhelming relative to because your offense is sad. So I'm holding on to them. All right, you go now.
Violet, Ken and I are taking Tennessee -2. There's nothing here. This is very simple. Nathan Hackett still sucks. I don't care if he had a bye to prepare. Still sucks. That backfield is who knows who's going to play this week in the backfield.
Dude, there's Chase Edmonds, Latavius Murray. I have Latavius Murray and Melvin Gordon on my bench in my fantasy league, and it's like I feel obligated to keep them, but I shouldn't.
Man, I would. That whole. You're going to spend more time. This is totally, we're getting off track here. Fantasy sort of simultaneously works with betting too, but fantasy, I will stay away from all of those type of backfields completely rather than have them take a spot on my bench for me to guess whether or not they're going to score fantasy points this week. I will take them, package them with somebody else, and get somebody who is marginally better but is like a clear-cut number 2 wide receiver or a clear-cut number 1 on a bad team. Darnell Mooney, for example. I would take any of those guys that you just mentioned, and I'd go out and get Darnell Mooney straight up for those guys in fantasy. Why?
The
Clear cut.
trade market is dry in this league, and it's because people don't like trading with me. I always get vetoed.
See, we don't have vetoes. If you're dumb enough to take the trade, then your fault. Sorry. But that being said, they want to pound the ball. They don't have an offensive line. They just lost Garrett Bowles for the season, their left tackle. Russ is the offense is totally anemic. The offense is totally predictable. I mean, we're looking at stuff and we're just going like you watch it and you're saying, all right, 1st and 10. What are they going to run here? Off tackle. Okay, cool. They did that. 2nd and 8. What are we going to run here? Probably a simple play action, maybe a little bit of a crossing route. Hey, we like our tight end. Probably going to mix him in there. Play action downfield, not really great. Quick out route. All right, cool. I mean, we're talking basic. We're talking elementary here. So I'm totally against them. And this is another thing where I would say if Tannehill plays, this is -2. Crush it. Their defense looked really good against Kansas City. I do not care that he threw the ball for 470 yards, and I do not care that he threw the ball 60 times and completed 70%. I don't care. Mahomes had trouble putting the ball in the end zone. If you can do that versus, this is total eye test. If you can do that versus Kansas City, you sure as hell can do it versus Russ Wilson. Come on, let's be serious here.
All right, I'm moving on to our next pick then. Across the board, we all believe, probably blind faith in Tom Brady. We got TB -2.5. That is Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Listen, this game is in Germany. Geno Smith, I don't know what he's doing. He's probably going to have magic throughout the year because of, I can't remember the name of their offensive coordinator, but he's getting a head coaching job next year. He's been absolutely phenomenal. The Buccaneers, I think Sam Munson on PFF put it the best way. They just screw up all at different times, but it's always on 3rd down. Mike Evans drops a 3rd down pass. They give up a sack on 3rd down. And it's like they shut down drives just at the worst time.
3rd down.
And it's like if you look at the individual players, you go, okay, Mike Evans made 2 mistakes that game. That's not bad for a star receiver, who's doing a lot. Chris Godwin made a couple mistakes. Their O-line made a couple mistakes. But it's always they screw up at the wrong time. At some point, this needs to get fixed. They are getting a more healthy defense. They have the manpower to match up with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Their pass rush is actually kind of beat up, but I don't think you need much of it if you're taking out those options.
Vita Vea. Vita Vea has 5 or 6 sacks on the year at 300 billion pounds.
I was saying they need to hold down Kenneth Walker. That's it. And I hate saying it because I don't think he's a good running back, but he is one of those guys that Barry Sanders-esque. You're talking 5 carries for 0 yards. And then 2 carries after that, they're both touchdowns, 20, 30-yard bursts. He's gone. His average is phenomenal, but his success rate is bad. Warren Sharp pointed it out last week. So I am I think Tampa Bay's good against the run. The biggest thing they need to do on offense is take Lenny, get him off the field, run a spread offense, get Rachaad White in there, and spread the ball to run it. It sounds counterintuitive, like you think you want to run the ball, you want 2 tight ends or a tight end and a fullback. It's like, no. Get the defense open, out of your way, and then start running it. Because you know what? What you're doing isn't working. You're the worst running team in the league. You average 3 yards per carry. It's a freaking joke. At least try something new. But
Lenny can still catch the ball. Let's put it that way. But Lenny and Tom trusts him. Fine, I get that. He's starting to trust White more. You're just looking at who gives you more at the position at this point. If you were running the ball very well, downhill, 4 yards, 5 yards a pop, Lenny all day long. You don't have that. Move on. You don't have a good offensive line. You have 2 or 3 guys that are probably No, 2 or 3 guys that were on injured reserve. 2 or 3 guys that are different than last year. One of them retired at 29. Uh, the other guy is on injured reserve. There's two, and then you had another guy who filled in. I think got traded, and so you have three new guys, and even those guys are getting hurt. So don't run. They aren't. Don't get me wrong. Tom threw the ball 60 times last game, but even if you are winning, don't run. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
All right.
So
So we got two. I have two picks left. I think we're out of yours, but we'll fly through mine real quick. Saints versus Steelers. Now listen up. Ken has this pick too. This is very important. The Steelers aren't good. The Saints
are not good.
Are kind of good.
What?
They are kind of good. All right.
They have a good defense. There you go. Got it.
No, they don't. They have good players on defense, but they underachieve.
They sack the quarterback. Good. Got it.
Yeah, okay. They do more on defense than the Steelers. That's a great way to put it. It sounds
TJ Watt comes back this week. This is the only reason I did not pick this game and go 3 for 3. TJ Watt comes back this week.
Ooh,
supposedly.
crap.
Supposedly.
I'm not buying that.
He's on schedule to come back this week. That's the only reason I picked this.
I'm telling you right now, the Saints are 3-6, I think. They are one game out of their division. They're looking at it like, holy crap, we can still win this thing. And for whatever reason, I think they're a team that galvanizes very well. Like, we got to beat the Buccaneers. And they did it, like, they were 4-0 against them in the regular season. I can't remember what game was big for them. I think it was the Raiders game this year. And they ended up pulling out, or last year. Oh, yeah, no, it was the Raiders games this year where they didn't let the Raiders cross half the 50-yard line before the backup came in. So I am in on the Saints, mostly because I am out on the Steelers. We just talked about Najee Harris is so bad they're bringing in his backup. It's not going to do anything. Their offensive line can't block for a lick. Kenny Pickett is fun. It's exciting to have a first-round pick throwing the ball. Deontay Johnson and George Pickens are nice and fun tools, but they're going to get a touchdown. They're not going to get 2 or 3. Chris Olave has been maybe the best receiver out of this class.
Surprised me.
He has looked very good. Alvin Kamara is a known workable commodity. So I am in on the Saints being better. It's a 1.5 spread, so you're pretty much betting them to win the game.
I saw this crazy stat about Olave the other day. I think it was people. Again, we talked about this before the show. Taking bias out of fantasy. I think Chris Olave and CeeDee Lamb, which by the way I also called that one, have the same amount of fantasy points this year. I think that's what it was. It was either fantasy points or yards and catches. Some very, very crazy metric that you think, oh man. And CeeDee Lamb is like top 20.
Yeah.
So is Chris Olave. He's top 20 too.
Chris Olave has been remarkably consistent for being a number 3 coming into the
year. From being at the 3, and then not only has he supplanted the number 1, he is probably going to handle that going forward as a 22-year-old. And so if you watch the game, like I watch the wide receivers a lot of times during football games just because that's what I was. If you watch him, he's not they're doing new age things with him, and we've talked about this before too. Not outside receiver, not an inside receiver. He'll line up probably 50% on the outside, 50% in the slot. Now, are they doing that because Jarvis Landry is out? I don't know. But if they're smart, they don't change that. They don't put Jarvis on the outside.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I'll be interested to see what happens when Jarvis gets back, but I think you got to keep moving him. And he also, by the way, Marcus Peters is overrated by a mile. Like he's like Josh Norman light.
Dude, Marcus Peters is famous for interceptions, but as we talked about with Trayvon Diggs, like it's not what you want to be known for because if you're jumping routes, you're gonna get burned.
Marcus Peters was pressed against him, and he ran a corner route like beautifully to end the half, and he like baseball turned Marcus Peters after being pressed. He's not a big dude either,
No.
He got a clean release, made him basically turn around and spin on a corner route to the. It was like in the red zone. I mean, he's doing stuff that like we're talking about like top receivers are doing, and he has Andy Dalton throwing it. I'm telling you, best thing that could happen. Best thing that could happen. Andy Dalton throws 2 picks in the first quarter. We see Jameis.
I've been on Jameis. I love Jameis, man.
That would be unbelievable because you would see Chris Olave's stock just flop.
If quarterbacks had a tagline, Jameis is if you ain't first, you're last. He's throwing touchdowns or he's throwing picks, man. YOLO balls.
His whole thing is don't let the ball touch the ground. I don't care if it goes to my receiver, their receiver. Just don't let it touch the ground. I do not care. We'll get it back.
All right.
It's the Suns' offense back when D'Antoni was running it for Phoenix. Hey, awesome. Let them score. We get the ball back faster. Don't care.
My last pick. This is, I think Ken is on this too. Nope, it's just me. All right, I got the under in Houston versus the Giants. This one's very easy. There are no 2 teams in the NFL who want to run the ball 50 times a game more than these 2. That's it. No, they like if you told both of these coaches like, hey, the end score was 7-10, they'd be like, hell yeah, that's a game we're gonna win. And it's like, no, it's awful. Wink Martindale is going to delete Davis Mills with crazy blitz packages, things he's not ready for. Their the Texans receiving core is beat up. The Giants are just smarter than you, and they don't.
They're not beat up. They just have pissed off Brandon Cooks so much that he's also sitting out and supposedly with a wrist injury.
He's on the injury report. All right. Anyways, it's what's his face?
He's on the Kadarius Toney. He's on the Kadarius Toney injury report.
Is Nico Collins out?
Yeah, he was supposed to come back and practice this week.
All right, so he's been practicing. He might be back, but even if it's just him and Phillip, that receiving core is a joke. All they want to do is give the ball to Dameon Pierce and hope he can get 5 yards of carry. It's not going to happen. Giants are going to come. They're going to stuff that. I am all here for under 40.5. These teams, like, this game might be over by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They just want to go home, man.
Hey, man. Just an FYI, an update. It's 3-0, middle of the second.
Crazy blowout.
If you guys are wondering, under 41.5. Sorry, you missed it. You missed the opportunity.
Real quick, I just want to hear your take on Jeff Saturday, because you were talking about play calling and stuff, and all I could think is, dude, that's freaking Jeff Saturday coming in off the Sports Center desk to come call these games for a team. It's a complete joke. And
he better not be the one calling it. I would say he needs to have somebody else.
No, he's having I think their quarterback coach call the offense.
Makes sense. Man, that is just bonkers.
I think it's a complete slap in the face to the assistants on the.
Yeah.
But I don't get how you can fire the offensive coordinator 1 week and then the next week fire the head coach. Like, other way around works very well.
I don't know how to go about it. It's a weird thing because if you watch him, he's like a Dan Campbell. Guy can lead people. He is a good leader. I just don't know how that always...
He hasn't coached anything higher than high school. Like,
right. So I just don't know how that translates. You know,
it'd be like hiring Freddie Kitchens to be your head coach.
I don't know how it works. I just think you find a different. I did see an interesting take though, too. You find a different role for him, 1, but 2. Nobody wants to take that job and suck at it for 8 games with an awful O-line, a beat-up running back, a weird quarterback situation, and screw up any chance that they might get to go be a head coach somewhere else. I don't know if people were volleying for this job. That's my take. I agreed with that take, actually. It was somebody else's take.
That's so interesting. Well, I mean, I would assume that anyone on the staff would be willing to step up. And I think, like, if you're on the staff and you get promoted to interim head coach, then it's like, if you do well, you're rewarded. And if you don't, then it's like, look what he was given. So I would hope that would be the case, but I guess to your point, that's not how owners. And
Where's Bisaccia? Where's Bisaccia? Do you know? You know who Bisaccia is?
That was the Raiders interim last year.
Okay, all right. How's he doing? He get a head coaching job?
I didn't think he was a good coach.
He did pretty well though.
No,
they
fell into wins. That's kind of like if you don't say I'm making a ton of money if I go to the slot machine at the casino and win. You don't say I have a career. I'm just gonna go play the slots all day.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if it was a very desirable job.
No,
if it was me, I would try and take it, but not me.
I can't. I wish I had the clip of what Jim Irsay said, and he's just like, it was how they determined. Like they said, we're gonna keep our GM because he's a winner, but they fired Frank Reich because he lost games, but all their decisions were intertwined. You know, it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense for your coach to approach things like your owner to approach things like that. And I agree with you that I think that the Colts is now blacklisted as a toxic job, and all I can think is if Andrew Luck were there, they might be the third best team in the AFC.
All right, you sound like you're from Indy. Andrew Luck. Oh,
you don't like Andrew Luck?
I do. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying they would be right up there with the Bills, the Chiefs the last few years with the rosters they had and Andrew Luck at quarterback instead of the carousel that they were running with. Write that down. That's a fact. Probably. All right. I think we're good though.
Yeah, I like Andrew Luck. I was sad to see him retire at whatever 29, 28.
Yeah. All right. I got nothing else. You good?
We're gonna win. I think I'm already gonna win. I think I'm gonna win the Thursday night game already. I ruined it.
Keep the win streaks going. Did someone score a touchdown?
No, I'm just saying, count your chickens before you're hatching gambling. That's not good.
All right. I'll see you, Connor.